This is One Leeds. Welcome back to the latest video. This video, as always, is sponsored by Shop GNO, the Job Match Group, and Match Bingo. Let's get into it. First up, the Job Match Group. Whether you're looking for your next big gig or just browsing, the Job Match Group has niche job sites made just for you. F1, retail, security, and loads more. They're about matching the right person to the right job. Make sure you check them out if you're ready to level up your career. Then we've got Shop GNO, an exciting new e-commerce site where you can grab exclusive deals and discounts. Right now, One Leeds has an affiliate link just below where you can score a 25 quid membership for free, unlocking special rates and benefits. You can even list your own shop on there with way better rates than Amazon, eBay, and Vinted. They've got some Leeds bits and some general bits now and launching soon, plus some great prizes just for signing up. This is all powered by a massive Leeds United fan looking to make waves in the online shopping world. So check them out and support your local. And don't forget our mates at Match Bingo. They're smashing it with footy fun. You can get 5 bingo cards for the price of 4 through One Leeds, and you can even deposit just a £5 at a time to join the action. It's a big chance to win whilst having a blast with your fellow Leeds United friends. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Check the links in the description, and let's get on with the video. Well, hello, everybody. I hope you're doing fantastically well. My name is Conor McGilligan. This is the Rumour Mill, and we are back discussing everything Leeds United today, baby. Get your thoughts in the comment section below. What is going on, everybody? I'd like to say a big sorry, a big apology conveyed by myself. The reason behind that is we did not do a white noise last night. I had a bit of a discussion with Brownie. We were going through the pitfalls of doing it. We were thinking, what can we speak about? What can we speak about? We thought the Villarreal game, but I've absolutely done that to death. We can speak maybe about the season ticket prices and all this sort of stuff. But for goodness sake, everybody, for goodness sake, we're trying to give you a bit of quality content, a bit of DDD. If you know, you know, discourse, discussion, debate on here. And we've just got nothing to talk about when it came to yesterday and discussion points, talking points of which we want to make entertaining for you. So I'd like to apologize for that. Some of you love white noise. I know a lot of you do. Last video we did, I think, an hour long, got 16,000 views and a lot of engagement. So we will be back next Tuesday. We've actually got something to flipping talk about when it comes to a collaboration. So, guys, look out for that one. There will not be a hard line this weekend. A little bit of an FYI, there won't be a hard line. I will be coming back from Dublin, probably with a severe hangover. Probably, but not really. But we will have some content over the weekend, everybody, with the game. Might be meeting up with a couple of Leeds content creators as well, which will be absolutely amazing. And yeah, look out for that one. But listen, you have to be subscribed to the channel to see when I upload, because it doesn't always get in your notification box, which is slightly annoying. So you listen, slap the bell, and then you will be alerted. It'll be personalized. Make sure you click all as well in there, so every single notification is sent to your inbox. Yeah, so we will be back. We will be back, as I say, next Tuesday, and the formatting and the programming will be back next week officially. But Sunday we will not have, unfortunately, the fantastic, effervescent hardline. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying in the comment section below. Good to see some of the regulars in here, as always. Muniz on Connor being 10 minutes late. Well, unlucky, mate. I was here at 10:04, so there you go. Yes, Aragon, we'll be getting into that, mate. Really appreciate your comment there, buddy. The Vanat guy looks good in yellow and blue. He does indeed. Let's have a look. Some of the comments as well. Lee's in here. NFFC is in here as well. Morning all. Hoping for some big signings this window. Would love to bring in Fatu, Mitrovic, El Khannouss, and Maitland-Niles. 10 out of 10 window. A 10 out of 10 window is definitely still there, everybody. We can still do that. Morning from Australia. Good to see you in here. Tommy as well. Let's have a look. Morning, Connor. Morning, Connor. Gems in here. Morning, Connor. I think the time is coming soon where we need to abandon the idea of tier 1 targets. Oh, stab my beating heart and aim for a level down so we have a realistic chance of improving the squad. Morning, Conrad. Hey, Jay. How's it going, mate? Morning. Yes, Leeds. I know we're going to get into that. Hi, Connor. No news is killing me. Jeff's here as well. Morning, Connor. Glad to catch you live. Glad to see you in here as well, buddy. Okay, let's get into your man, Dovbyk, everybody. There's been a little bit of movement on him overnight, and I'm here to update you with the notage on what is going on with him. Now, apparently Leeds United have made a formal inquiry about the big Ukrainian at Roma, who was absolutely superb at Girona. Their top scorer has been Roma's top scorer this season as well. And apparently, according to several reports from the Italian side, Leeds United have made a formal approach for the striker. Villarreal, however, it feels are leading the race, but there is complications there, massive complications. Now, what do we know about Artem Dovbyk? We know that he prefers a move to La Liga. Now, what does that mean? Is it once again of the conversation that we've been speaking about with Nikola Kristovic at Lecce, where it's if there isn't a top club coming in for me, I will not be going to relegation bound, potentially, Leeds United. And it feels like this is the discourse when it comes to a lot of the room mill at this moment in time. And we don't know what's going on, do we? We have no idea what's going on in the background. This is me just bringing to life the rumors. It's talking you through the rumors. It's a visualization of the rumors and the discussion, discourse, debate, of course. But Villarreal are apparently keen on him as well. But like a lot of Serie A clubs, like a lot of La Liga clubs, unless you're the real big boys of these leagues, financially, the mid-bracket teams and the lower bracket teams of the Premier League, commercially and just generally money-wise, are at a better standpoint than you, are at a better standpoint when you get promoted, are at a better standpoint with what the Premier League get you in terms of money. So Leeds should be in a good position. We know output-wise, Leeds United have 26 million quid. We know that because we've been probing Rodrigo Muniz for as long as we have. We've been probing Bilal El Khannouss, okay? So we know Leeds have that output. According to Corriere dello Sport, they've said that they think Leeds United will get him for 26 million quid, okay? Apparently, Villarreal lead the race, but they're only willing to go for a loan because they can't afford him, which kind of fits into that mantra of what we were speaking before when it comes to those sort of not mid-bracket clubs, because you can't talk about the likes of Real Betis, you can't talk of the likes of Villarreal as mid-bracket clubs, but outside the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, it becomes a little bit more difficult for these clubs to really, even with the pedigree that they're at, to really be able to punch in with the money. Okay. And that's come very, very similarly to that of, Real Betis when it's come to Anthony, when it's come to Mateo Joseph and co. They're really struggling when it comes to Mateo Joseph in particular to make him that number 9 of who they want in this season. And they've wanted him for now 6 months, 6 to 12 months when you're reading Dario Sevilla. So if they're not able to stump up that fee, it kind of has like a bit of a common underground and a bit of a theme when it comes to La Liga outside the top clubs. Very similar with Serie A as well. Corriere dello Sport think Leeds will get him for 26 million quid. Leeds apparently have been given the green light for Artem Dovbyk to bring him in. I guess the conversation is, from a perspective of where he's at right now in Roma and what Gasperini has wanted all the time when it comes to obviously playing a back three at Atalanta, getting the best out of certain players, certain personnel. Why doesn't he want him? And I think that's the key question this morning. Why doesn't Gasperini, one of the top managers in Europe, someone who I rate extremely highly, literally, in my opinion, has put Atalanta on the map? Bergamo thriving. But Gasperini always wants a pressy striker. Okay? He wants a striker to drop deep and link. He wants a dynamic striker, a mobile striker. I think the difference with Dovbyk is traditional number 9 would really help in a counter-attacking transitional system, in my opinion. I think when you look at how Leeds would have to play with someone like Dovbyk, it would be direct, it would be traditional, rather than possession-heavy build-up, of which we kind of have seen in pre-season. I thought Leeds were going to vary it a little bit, and I think we have to an extent. I think you've seen in games as well with Nemecha, been able to effectively, work the channels, win balls in the channels on the left and right hand side. I think particularly we saw that against Paderborn and Man United up against Matthias de Ligt. I thought he was excellent in terms of holding the ball up, and he's going to be underrated this season for me, and is already being underrated by Leeds fans in terms of that acquisition. But he sort of fits that Dovbyk role. Obviously, Dovbyk is, a player who's got massive output when it comes to Girona and Roma. But I don't know if it works when it comes to the style of play potentially that Leeds will play. I think Leeds have varied it up a little bit when it comes to the direct and the indirect approach, because you've seen in pre-season that Leeds have been building vertically. Al-Tanaka's been dropping between the centre-backs. You've had Ampadu doing the same thing. And Leeds have been building out from the back, which I didn't think we'd do. I thought we'd vary it up a little bit. The players that we brought in tell you that we're going to vary it up a little bit, but we've also brought players in who are very good on the ball. Anton Stat, Jakobiel. So they might be big, athletic, physical men in the Premier League, but they can also play. Boy, can they play. So that may just tick the boxes of physicality and athleticism when it comes to set pieces and just being big presences in the Premier League in the midfield and that psychological impact to an extent as well. But that might not mean that Leeds are going to go to a direct approach. It might just mean that Leeds are bringing in bodies in to compete from set pieces, which we've got to get those marginal, incremental, sort of, you know, upwards style of statistics from the wordage there. But basically, we've got to get better when it comes to defending set pieces and attacking set pieces when it comes to Leeds at Premier League level because we've been woeful for so many years. So I think bringing in players of that ilk is positive, of course. Now, Dovbyk is a classic traditional number 9, plays through the middle. All the sort of attributes you get. His link up's not actually that great. But then you look at someone like Rodrigo Muniz as a comparative. He's energetic, he's pressy, he's quick, he's agile, 6'1". He's quicker, got a little bit more flair and trickery, and as you know, outperforms his XG. I think when you're looking at the two profiles, and I've mentioned this before, the only similarity between Artem Dovbyk and Rodrigo Muniz, which is why this for me is a bit of a dead story and will be slightly concerning because it means Leeds are going to a completely different profile, is that they're kind of both like 6'1", 6'2". That's it. And I think they're both working counter-attacking systems in a different way. Dovbyk, your hold-up play, your traditional number 9. I think Rodrigo Muniz's link-up is a hell of a lot better, and he's more mobile, and he'd be better in the channels. I think Dovbyk, you build up with him centrally and you work off him. I think Rodrigo Muniz is a little bit of a Swiss Army knife when it comes to a forward. So that would be a little bit concerning. I think if you're to go in for Artem Dovbyk and you to pay a big fee for him at 28 years of age, put him on a big contract, probably your highest paid player, and he gives you that limited. I mean, he scored goals. Don't get me wrong. He scored goals 100% at La Liga. He scored goals at Serie A. That is the caveat. And the caveat is in a counter-attacking system, he would work. But does he give you that full package of what you want from a centre forward in the Premier League when it comes to, outperforming your XG when you're not creating that many chances, which Leeds won't be doing at Premier League level because we're just simply not as good. You got to outperform that XG. I mentioned this several times on the Room Mill. Liam Delap being the classic example. And I think Rodrigo Muniz fills a lot of those voids when it comes to, mobility, efficient striking of the ball, movement. I'm not sure Dovbyk does. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, everybody. Let's have a look. Let's see what you guys are saying. Hate to say this, but I've lost all hope for this season already. No joke. Just got this gut feeling that isn't great, but I hope I'm wrong. I mean, if you to thing is, Ross, if you to look at right now, mate, we are going down. We are going down right now. There's no conversation around it, mate. I think and I get it. I completely understand that. Completely understand that. With Dovbyk, like money talks as well. People are like pointless if he doesn't want the move. I think the only person who's actually unequivocally cancelled Leeds out, which James Marshman and Team Talk were talking yesterday about Leeds progressing on the move, is Nikola Kristovic at Lecce. Literally every single source on the Italian side has said he doesn't want the move unless it's a top English side. So that's out of it. Artem Dovbyk, you've not heard much from his representatives. Apparently, he'd prefer a move to La Liga, but money talks, doesn't it? So, I wouldn't say I've lost all hope, but right now, with the squad that we've got, I think we're competitive. I do. I don't think we'd lose by a mass margin every single week. I don't think that. But right now, as the squad is, I think we compete with Everton. I think you can get a result against Everton. But I think we've seen against the top clubs in pre-season, Villarreal and Man United, that going forward, Leeds, it's not quite meshing up right. And Daniel Farke was spot on the money. Absolutely spot on the money when he was talking about them losing Solomon and not replacing him. We still haven't brought in that body from a creative standpoint. Even if Solomon goes out and you bring in a 10 or you bring in another left winger or a right winger, you've still not brought in that body that is going to sort of excite Leeds fans. You've got the 3, haven't you, in behind the striker, and currently Dan James is injured and might miss the AC Milan game. So we're kind of looking at it and going, oh, right, okay. So, yeah, Leeds need bodies in. I completely agree with you. And right now, we need to move on, don't we? We need to move on and get some bodies in. Hi, Eugene. Connor, are you coming to the Leeds United North America get-together in New Orleans next month? Would love to see you there, mate. No plans, Eugene. I've got no plans, mate. A last-minute flight to New Orleans as well. I can't imagine it's cheap, buddy. I would love to be there, of course. Morning, Connor. Are Leeds struggling to tempt players to come, or are they waiting for the end of the window to strike deals for the right price? I think there's probably a combination of that, mate. I think I mentioned this yesterday when it comes to that next bracket of player that we keep going in for, evidently. And I mean, you even look at Dovbyk, right? And you look at the because a lot of people will just look at the stats packed, right? Dovbyk has got, I mean, we'll just have a look right now. I mean, what, 45 appearances, 15 goals. This is a player who could be classified as a sort of top end player. We've got Kristovic here as well on the Dovbyk. Let's have a quick look at his statistics, right? So this could be classified, really, when we look at his player stats, as a top player. Your 45 appearances, goals per 90, 0.42. Your 19 goal contributions last season. A decent shot accuracy there when you look at it, 40%. I thought it was a lot lower than that. So you look at that player and you think, well, it's not a bad player we're targeting if that is true. This is the rumor mill. But the rest of the targets that we know have been consolidated when it comes to players that were brought in. Bilal, Stack. You look at the players that were bid for. Habib Diarra, top player in my opinion. Rodrigo, Muniz, top player. Bilal El Khannouss will be a top player. Players like this, they're the next bracket up. They're the next bracket up, and the next bracket up keeps you up. You get players who are just mid in and around the bottom sort of area. You bring them in. I think you've got problems, big problems before you've even started, to be honest with you. Okay, let's have a look at what you guys are saying as well. Oh, ye man of little faith. That's not me, mate. I've not said that. I've not said that. But I think right now, as sort of Ross was saying, it's going to be problematic. Of course, it is. Muniz is never going to happen. Cheers, Mark. 19 GA in 45 Serie A games is quite frankly pathetic. Move on, not the answer. Another Rodrigo, wrong player, wrong time. Move on. Mika Bierith is the one. Get moving. He is indeed, mate. He is indeed. I think that's going to be it's going to be a hard deal to get done, Kiggy. But I did mention him the other day. There is a lot of panicking going on. Yeah, I can tell. I can tell. This this morning's the worst it's been. Chill, Winston. Let the 49ers do what they do. Last day of my haul, late again. I'll tell you what, we're going to put quite frankly, just a comment, like a little poll in the chat. And we're going to get onto the other room. We've got loads to get through today, everybody. We might even beat the hour-long show that we normally do. But I'm just going to get in the chat and ask you a very simple question. Are people panicking? Are you panicking? Are you panicking right now? Yes, no, dead simple. And guys, we've got 1,300 of you in the building. Make sure you slap a like on the video. Hi, Carl. Connor, big up. Good morning. Hello, my friend. Thank you for being a member. 19 months, Carl. What a legend. Thank you so much, buddy. Right, let's get into the next one, shall we? Mateo Joseph, Dario El Sevilla reporting this morning that personal terms have been agreed with Real Betis, but Leeds United haven't started negotiations with the Seville-based club because they haven't agreed on a negotiation. Apparently now, Real Betis are favouring a loan, which is absolutely fine by me. I guess the lack of money coming into Leeds right now, you look at Gelhardt going to Hull on loan. Joseph, if he was to go out, would be on loan. I guess you kind of look at it and you think, well, Bamford, unless something progresses towards the back end of the window, you kind of look at Pat and you think, is he going to generate a lot of money? I don't think so. A club's going to come in for him with the wages that he's on. I'm hoping that leads to like pitching out to the US and the MLS. He's spoken about the MLS numerous times. I think he's got relations who work out there as well. So that's potential for Patrick Bamford. That could stir on till the end of the window. We have got sort of 3 weeks left. Matteo, I thought he'd be gone by now. I'm quite surprised that hasn't happened, especially with Betis just digging the feet in. Apparently, it is still the fact, which has been the fact from January to the summer months. He won't play. They won't pay. So, and then in effect, Matteo won't play. So it's going to be fascinating to see what's going to happen with him. I just think he's going to be omitted from the side now. We know that we've seen that in pre-season. It's going to be pretty stark and frank if that's happening in the Premier League, if he's still here as well. Matteo's always spoken about getting to the Premier League and playing in the Premier League, and he wants to do that. And now he's obviously refusing to play for Leeds United. Two sides of the coin when it comes to Farker coming out and sort of saying him and Bamford are not in the plans. Okay, fair enough. Joseph, evidently wanted more minutes last season, and he doesn't feel like he's going to get any this season as well. There's been clearly a bit of a conversation behind closed doors there. Do I agree with how he's gone about it? No. But I kind of look at it right now, and I think loan would be the best option for Leeds. I've kind of always said that loan with an option, not loan with an obligation. They don't feel like they're meeting. It doesn't feel like they're meeting our standard whatsoever. Once again, the news from outside, when you look at Dario El Sevilla, the publication this morning, is that they are not willing to meet the Leeds United price. And as I've just mentioned before, that's been a thing before from January as well. So, all right, well, don't meet the price. You're not bullying us out of it, mate. You're not just bullying us out of it. That can't happen. We've got an asset on our cards there, and we've got to sell him for the best value, 100%. If he goes away, he scores loads of goals for Betis. Look, we've seen a lot of renaissance, haven't we, when it comes to Real Betis? Mark Rocker, being the kid, I'm joking. It's so easy to it's so easy to reel you all in. But Anthony, in particular, going somewhere with a really good environment, really good situation, and been brilliant for Betis last season. Joseph could go out and do the exact same. Isco, another player that's been absolutely reborn. So it looks like it's a really good environment out there as well for players to prosper. So him on loan doesn't upset me, but I am kind of looking at it at the minute and I'm thinking, where is this money coming from? Where is this money coming from inbound for Leeds United? Melie, and is that just the price valuation that Leeds are looking at it and thinking, look, he's worth 10, 15 million quid that we knew with Marseille. Marseille Leeds rejected around about 15 million quid bid around about 12 months ago. So what's the valuation of him right now? They're looking at profit. They brought him in from 5 million quid from Lorient. So they might be looking at profit margins on that, which they're going to probably have to do because it'll look good on the books. Gruev, what's going on with him? Is he going to be sticking around now? Is that what Leeds United are looking at when it comes to him and his development? Bamford, Joseph, as we've just mentioned, money coming into Leeds United right now. There's not a lot of conversation. Jack Harrison, another one, money coming in. Who knows? Connor, what is happening with Leeds swooping in with a big offer for Muniz? We'll get into it, mate. Chris says, I wouldn't say panicking, but I've resigned to Jesus. Kingy, my God, mate. What's the point in being a football fan, my man? What's the point in being a football fan? You got to believe at least, even if you go in there with 11 players who you don't think are good enough, you got to go in and think, well, they're going to scrape out 38 draws. Morning, Connor. Thanks for the daily vids. What would you say is the most important position we need to fill? I would say the number one. I would agree with you, Hayden. Yep, I would agree with you right now, mate. A number 9 is absolutely massive. At least as I would make an example with Betis, I would say Joseph isn't for sale. Rather loan him to Rangers. See, where I'd push back there, mate, is I think the standard, the La Liga standard, where are you going to be most impressed if Joseph goes to La Liga, scores 10 or 15 goals, hypothetically, right? 10 or 15 goals. We've seen weirder things happen. I thought Anthony would never have this resurgence, and he was unbelievable for them, wasn't he? So you look at that and you think to themselves, you think to yourself, would you rather him go out to La Liga and score 10 or 15 goals or go to the SPL and score 20, 25 goals? 100% it's La Liga. It's such a much more competitive league than the SPL. It's levels above. So I would rather him go out there and be a starting number 9. Kirsch says, I still think there could be a surprise sale if we get some targets in. Largely Melie. Melie won't be a surprise, mate. That needs to be off the books. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised, but it's more surprising that clubs are coming in for him, if I'm honest with you. Okay, Florentino Luis. Now, this is an interesting one. It's kind of sparked up over the last couple of days. The Benfica midfielder. Apparently, they are ready to accept £21 million for the midfielders. Now, when you look at FB Ref and you look at his statistics, blocks and interceptions, he's absolutely outstanding. But when it comes to ball progression, when it comes to actually having the ball at his feet, he's definitely more of an out-and-out number 6, not someone who is... How do I put this nicely? Someone who is keen on having the ball at his feet and progressing and good with the ball at his feet as well, which in the Portuguese league, if you're struggling to do that under any form of press, I would definitely worry about you in the Premier League. Apparently, Everton are looking at him as a replacement for James Garner or Idrissa Gana-Gueye, or at least competition in and around there. Leeds United are apparently very interested in bringing him in for the right price. Same with West Ham United. I think with the lack of ball progression, the number of 6s that we've got now as well, which you've now got 3. If you're looking at Stack, Gruev, and Ampadu, I don't see this one as being a likely one. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But, be a nice place to live, I guess, wouldn't it? Benfica, staying out there if Florentino Luis can do. But yeah, for me, there doesn't seem to be enough there when it comes to rumours. It feels like it's a little bit of agent talk, lumping all these 3 clubs in. He doesn't make a lot of sense. Doesn't feel like his style of play fits in the Premier League. How I'd describe him as a comparative is Agate. Destroyer in the midfield, terrible on the ball. Terrible on the ball. So yeah, actually feels like a very Man United-esque signing, to be honest with you. So yeah, not for me, this one. Okay, moving on to the next rumour. See, I don't have a coffee this morning. I don't have a coffee, so I can't. Hold on. Ree? Can I have a tea? A cup of tea? Please. Right, so I haven't got anything this morning. The coffee's ran out. We need to have a I need to just let this one stall because we do this. Let it marinate, don't we? The McGilligan marinate. Aleksandar Mitrović. So, according to the Chronicle this morning, obviously the Northeast publication, very close with Mitrovic proceedings, with him being on Tyneside for the best part of 4 or 5 years. Presumably, they've got a few links as well there with Mitrovic when it comes to his agent, his representatives, you would expect. I know a few people at the Chronicle as well. And yes, that wouldn't be something that would be unattainable, put it that way, when it comes to Aleksandar Mitrovic. So, large reports now are stating that he wants to move back to England, wants to move back to the Premier League. His contract expires next season. So for Al-Hilal, who brought him in for around about 50 million quid, I believe it was, Fulham with, I think Fulham's record sale. He's done well for them out there. You've seen, obviously 21 goal contributions in 23 appearances. But in their publication this morning, the Chronicle, they are saying that the 30-year-old has been offered to Leeds United and Sunderland. Now, why it's quite interesting with the Chronicle is obviously Sunderland in particular, they've got a lot of communication with it being the Northeast as well. But Leeds have been chucked in there as well in terms of them being offered. Now, there is a big connection with the Chronicle as well and Leeds publications, so something to bear in mind there as well. The big issue is his wage structure. 400 grand a week. Now, for a market value of around about 15 million quid, not a problem. Mitrovic in the Premier League for me, not a problem as well, especially for your first season. You can move on for Mitrovic next season, but if you bring him in for the first season, I think he's going to get a few goals. I think he'd get 10 goals. I think his hold-up play would be good. I think you look at Mitrovic's average in his last 5 seasons, he still gets goals, still gets assists, still is a problem. The top earner, according to Capology, top earner, which is a worry for me from a Leeds United standpoint anyway, is Jack Harrison on 90 grand a week. I don't think it is that, but Capology and a few other salary sites online have stated that he's on 90 grand a week. Jack Harrison is one of the top earners at Leeds United. I know Bamford is as well. This will be another concern with Leeds United in terms of moving them off the books. However, you're kind of looking at the difference there when it comes to wages per week. But Al-Hilal, this is the problem. This is going to be the last window of which they're going to be able to get any value from him. Aleksandar Mitrovic wants to move back to the Premier League. You can't realistically think a team's going to pay him 400 grand a week. He is going to have to drastically reduce his wage value by, 4 times, maybe even 5 times. So you cannot effectively put him as part of your plans at 30 years of age on anything above, like, in my opinion, sort of 60 grand a week. You can't. So he's going to want a contract. Do I see him staying at Al-Hilal? Probably, and then him going on a free next summer, and there's going to be loads of clubs in for him if he has another good season. But apparently Mitrovic's preference this season is to move back, and he's been offered to Leeds United and Sunderland. Now, Sunderland, for obvious reasons, I don't think that'll happen. Looks like they're bringing in Gu from Chelsea as well. That's not going to happen. Leeds United are crying out for a number 9 at this moment in time. How much do you pay for him to keep us up? How much do you pay for Aleksandar Mitrovic to bag 10 to 15 goals? What would you do, everybody? Would you take it? Would you not? Let us know in the comment section below. But as I've said, according to the Chronicle today, he has been offered to Leeds United. Him to us and Sunderland. Let's have a look. He'll go to Sunderland. I don't think he will, mate. I think that'd be chaos. Cup of Yorkshire tea, lad. You tell her. I know. I brought her back a coffee this morning as well. So need to. She needs to do a job. Bring me a tea. I'm not sure we need any more midfielders unless they're going to start. Will he start before Stack, Gruev, and Ampadu? I don't think so, mate. I think 2 of these. There's an argument. Both of them were on. Florentino, Luis, and Mitrovic. The arguments for both of them, that is just agent talk. Lee says, I wouldn't let him go to Betis because I think Joseph and them have been trying to force the price down by annoying the club. Al-Hilal want to sell him too. Said clubs can have 5 non-Saudi players. Really good point in there, mate. Mark says, I'm still very relaxed. We may not have them in by Everton, but there is roughly 4 weeks left. And the 49ers And the 49ers will 49. This is their investment after all. Fair enough, mate. No chance Mitrovic. He'll expect 100K a week. 100K, says Rysel. Jay says Mitrovic is an odd one. Part of me would love it, but part of me can't get past that he's been in Saudi for 2 years. Does he still have the sharpness and movement for the Prem? I guess at least he's still scoring goals. Still knows where the back of the net is. But yes, 2 years in Saudi. Listen, Cristiano Ronaldo said it's top 5 leagues in the world. So listen, and there's a lot of good players out there now. I still look at. I think he plays with Ruben Neves as well, doesn't he? And he's been out there for a couple of years now as well. So they're building up good squads. So the standard is getting higher, I guess. Would you put it above the Belgian league at the minute? As an overall package? I don't know. Ronaldo would. So I'm not sure. Hi, Daz. Good to see you in here, mate. His best return is 14 goals in 2022, scored 11 in 2018, otherwise single figures. That'd be enough for me, mate. Be enough for me. Bearing in mind, you look at the lap. Hold on. Thank you. Cheers. We take that up as well. Thanks. Laughing at me. Yes, so we'll have to wait and see on that one, everybody. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Oh, he's back. It's Vlad Vanat. Okay, what do we know about Vlad Vanat? You can see by some of these player links, I'm just kind of getting to a point now where I'm like, Connor, how enthusiastic can you be about these players? Right, let's talk about Vlad Vanat. Release clause, 16 million quid. Leeds have always been considered part of the top 2 clubs. It's us and Sunderland again, wanting Vlad Vanat. Forward has got some good numbers behind him. Every 113 minutes, he's got a goal. Some of them, I just sit here and I'm like, you get like Florentino Luis, you get a Mitrovic, and when you hear like offered to Leeds, you think, ooh, but you get like a Florentino Luis and you get like a Vlad Vanat, and I'm commenting on them because they're rumors. But you comment on them and you're there like, really? It's just, I mean, it could happen. It could happen. I think someone like Vlad Vanat coming to the Premier League will be a massive adjustment. It'd be a massive risk as a centre forward or just like a player who plays off on number 9. It's one of those for me where you kind of want players. I've said this multiple times before in the top leagues. Let's have a quick look at his numbers, shall we? When it comes to it, but there's several reports linking us with him this morning. He has played in the Champions League, he has played in the Europa League, has got sort of like a big sort of following behind him in terms of the reputation in the Ukrainian league. 133 minutes per goal, minutes played 1,400, goals per 90, 0.68, shot accuracy, goals. See, I'm just kind of a bit light with this one. It just feels like we've been linked with him, and we're linked with him at the start, linked with him a little bit in the middle that we covered on the room mill. Aside from that, it's been pretty absent, to be honest with you. So it is brutal. I agree with you. Right, let's get into the main topic, shall we? Okay. The latest rumours in and around Bilal El Khannouss. Now, Aragorn mentioned this a little bit earlier on. Connor, how can Leicester block this if he's got a release clause? Well, so far, Leeds United are the furthest along with Bilal El Khannouss. Furthest along, okay? We've made a formal inquiry of which none of the other clubs have done, if you're to believe top reports in and around Bilal El Khannouss and reports close to Leicester when it comes to Leicestershire Live. Now, the interesting thing about Bilal El Khannouss here is Leicester City for me. If a club trigger that release clause, there is nothing Leicester can do about it. Khannouss moves on, okay? But there does have to be conversation between El Khannouss. There does have to be conversation between Leeds United. The fee can be triggered. It can all be triggered, okay, when it comes to a price valuation. But then El Khannouss has to want to come to Leeds. So I think Leeds are in this kind of negotiation phase at the minute where a lot of people have said, well, Connor, why are Leeds just not triggering it? Stark reality, if you've got Monaco, Tottenham, Leipzig, Palace, West Ham all looking at you, with West Ham and Tottenham apparently close to making inquiries when it comes to that, obviously, phase of making inquiries, and presumably within that inquiry basin is figuring out whether or not Khannouss wants to come to Tottenham, West Ham, but primarily to Leeds United. So reports have suggested that he would welcome a move. But if I'm El Khannouss and his representatives, I'm waiting around to see what other clubs come in, because it seems like day by day, we spoke about Monaco, now been interested yesterday. RB Leipzig were a new one. Today, there's reports that Tottenham and West Ham are considering making a formal approach. If you're El Khannouss, that release clause can be triggered, but then that doesn't mean that you're held to gunpoint to come to Leeds United. He has to agree to come to the club. And maybe that's the phase Leeds United are in right now. Leeds have gone the furthest, as we went the furthest with Pajau, but then the player's got to agree with it. He's got to agree to the move to Leeds United. And I think that's the process that we're in right now. I think Leeds are saying the exact same thing as I said with Pajau. We've got the money. We know with the Athletic that El Khannouss was a non-active target, but it was still an active target if Pajau didn't work out. But there were other clubs. So where are Leicester City involved in all of this? Well, if this is stalled and stalled and stalled and stalled, which can be put a little bit on El Khannouss, of course, and his representatives. But according to reports this morning as well, Leicester want the most money, obviously, for their targets. Now, if this goes beyond the 15th of August, bearing in mind he played excellently for Leicester the other day. I think he played about 81 minutes for Leicester against Fiorentina. If he's still playing for Leicester, if they're delaying in a sense, which obviously we know clubs can do, and if Khannouss isn't completely secure on the project at Leeds United and thinks he can go higher, as we've seen with multiple targets before, that release clause runs out on the 15th. Okay. So that runs out on the 15th. So we are currently on the 6th of August. We know Leeds don't really move on weekends. And we've got Dublin at the weekend, haven't we, with AC Milan, etc. Yeah. So I think what we've maybe got to understand is the fact that Leeds United can move. They 100% can move. They can 100% have this formal inquiry. What is the point in triggering a release clause if the player doesn't want to come? What's the point? What is the point in speaking to his agent, his representatives, behind closed doors, and they can say, "Well, look, you can genuinely come in for him. You can trigger his release clause, but he's not going to come. He's waiting out. He's holding out for Tottenham. He's seeing that James Maddison's injured. He's spoken to Tottenham. They've got him on a short list. He could be playing European football under Thomas Frank, and he's already spoke to Frank, and Frank's, aligned him in his plans. Whatever goes on behind closed doors. This could be the problem right now. So I'm not blaming Leeds again for this. They're trying to aim for the top bracket. And I have to say, everybody, I know football's subjective, but we did a stream the other day about El Khannouss, how he fits in, the stats behind it, the incredible stats he's had this season. And there's just people who choose to ignore it and go, well, he got relegated. And as I keep saying, Rafinha nearly got relegated with Leeds United. So that argument is completely redundant. Bilal El Khannouss will be a terrific signing for Leeds United, and would join a lot of which we don't have right now, especially if we brought in a 9 of which could work off him, not Jamie Vardy, obviously. So for me, it makes a lot of sense, but it's up to him, completely up to him. So I guess, as Tommy said, you look at Grealish. Maybe that's a movement. Maybe that's a move they will make. I guess then Leeds have we're competing with, it's all about dominoes though. It's all about dominoes because El Khannouss's representatives could then be saying quite, and this is kind of the logic behind it. If Arsenal move for Eze, there's been conversations online that their number one replacement for Eze would be Bilal El Khannouss. So we can't just be aware of this, and none of El Khannouss's representatives are. They are all going to be well aware of this when it comes to the permutations, the dominoes falling. That's why you get clubs. That's why you get big presences, big players waiting and waiting and waiting, because overall it is the smarter move. It's the much smarter move. So that's kind of where we're at right now, I think, with it. Thank you, Tori. Really appreciate that. Thanks a lot. It's good to see you in here. Let's have a look at what you guys are saying in the chat. Leicester could refuse if the terms of payment aren't in line with the conditions. Okay, that's fair enough, mate. That's all agent talk. Spurs won't sign him. Bet you that Leeds have bid below the release clause and they're putting on pressure on the full release clause. Welcome a move is agent talk. We've learned that already with other deals. Bring back Bielsa. At least we've got a track player, says Copy. Ash says, good to see you. I hope you're well. We'll go back. Yeah, good to see you there, mate. Thanks so much. Grealish will probably end up at the Spuds. Morning, Connor Pal. Good to see you. What have I missed? Not looking good. Go to the start, mate. Hi, Robin. Yes, I do. I think Leeds will sign Bilal El Khannouss. Bobby, good to see you in here, mate. Not seen you in a while. I think it's working on deals, mate, in the background. Kim says it seems a bit unfair if El Khannouss is working with Leicester to raise the bid. Morning, Conrad. Hi, MW. What's going on, mate? So Reese says as well, his agents could be delaying so they get a bigger fee. Unfortunately, we are competing with possible European football. This is exactly right. The people in and around El Khannouss, Leicester are looking. If this goes beyond, if this goes beyond the 15th of August, Leicester could potentially have themselves a bidding war, which they don't have right now. The club meets the clause. The player wants to go to said club. He goes. After the 15th of August, which is in 9 days' time, Leicester could have a bidding war on the hands with 6 clubs going for him. But I think we'll get him. Aragon says, well, we have the chance of relegation. I think our project is far more exciting than Palace at the moment. Can't compete with Spurs, except, of course. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Aragon, if you're Palace, what are you selling? You're turning around and saying, we've won the FA Cup last season. You know, you get the chance to play with Eze. You know, you get the chance to play under Glasner, a top manager, I think. You know, you get the chance to maybe take your career. We keep talking about stuff like, Rafinha. You know, if you're Palace, you just turn around to him and you go, look, you can come here. We've won the FA Cup. In the mid, you could win a cup if you stick with us and we're successful. And then you can do what Elise's done. You can do what Eze's done, getting in the England, obviously not getting in the England squad, but you get what I mean. It's kind of that, being able to offer them the higher value, being able to offer them what we've done with these players is platform them. Because it's not just Leeds who've platformed Rafinha. You've got Elise going to Bayern Munich. You've got Eze potentially going to Arsenal. You can see it as a stopgap and you can win things as well with us before you go to that club. I think that's kind of what we're talking about here. Right. Yeah, I know everybody. I know. You saw that last one, did you? Right. Rodrigo Muniz. Why did I say that about Ivan Juric? Why did I say him being similar to Gianpaolo? Connor. Right. Okay. This seems to be, if you're to believe Italian reports, and we know sometimes they can be here, there, and everywhere. I can tell you that with the rumor mill anyway. Guys, as well, we've got 1,600 of you in the building. Make sure you're slapping a like on the video, helping us out. Rodrigo Muniz. The latest is Nicola Shearer, who you can believe, you don't have to believe as well, but even Damasio have reported, has reported very recently that Atalanta are very, very keen on, obviously, the post-Retegui era, him moving on, obviously. And Ivan Juric wants to bring in Rodrigo Muniz as his number 9, his lead number 9. And according to Nicola Shearer, Atalanta have opened talks with Fulham for a deal until 2030. We spoke yesterday about representatives, according to the Italian sources, flying in yesterday and meeting with representatives of Fulham to discuss and to hash out a deal for Rodrigo Muniz. The report is this morning. Several reports are suggesting that Rodrigo Muniz has agreed or will agree to Atalanta's terms. He likes it out. He likes the project out there. And apparently, as I've just mentioned there, Atalanta have opened talks with Fulham for a deal up until 2030. CL football, I get that. But I don't want to go into like this rabbit hole when it comes to Ivan Juric and post Gasparini era. But I don't know how they can afford this sort of money, whether or not it's spread over a certain amount of time and Fulham get a whack up front. I didn't think they could afford this sort of money if it comes to Atalanta, especially with the price that we've been spoken about. Maybe they're going to come right the way down and they're just bothered about like an upfront fee and then installments for sometimes it can be up for clubs up until 36, 48 months. They're okay with that. Fulham, look, they brought in big money for Mitrovic not long ago, 50 million quid. If they can do it again with Rodrigo Muniz, what a job they've done. They might be thinking to themselves, if they get a deal done quickly, then they can go for Ricardo Pepe as well at PSV. That is the latest news when it comes to it, everybody. Rodrigo Muniz. We have spoken about this guy so much, and would it be gut wrenching if he didn't come to Leeds? Yes, I have to say though, I said it with Pajau. Rodrigo Muniz is another one I just don't see us getting done. Bilal El Khannouss, I can see it, and I think we will get him done. Hopefully, Muniz, I can't see it. I just can't see it. No news. A lot of the time, everybody's good news as well when it comes to transfers. But maybe it feels like his representatives are also waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And whatever we say about Fulham, whatever we said about Jack Kelly saying from West London Sports saying, oh, then they're never going to negotiate. They want to keep him. Look, if a club comes in, matches it, Rodrigo Muniz wants to go, they are going to accept a fee. Money talks, as we always say in football. Um, but Atalanta obviously have mass advantage over Leeds. You know, a lot of people in the comment section were saying, Connor, a manager doesn't matter. I completely disagree with that. I think a manager can be the complete pull sometimes. But I also understand that it's a very sporting director led world now, where the manager is just a pawn. Obviously, you get top coaches, don't get me wrong, but it is a sporting director world. I think when you look at the likes of Brentford with Matthew Benham and Keith Andrews being in there, it is a risk. But I think if it's sorted from the top down, a lot of the time it's sorted anyway. The players come in, the style is what it is. If you can replicate what the previous manager has done, which I think Keith Andrews will try and do, you know, you've kind of got everything there, really. You just have to be a really good coach. And I don't think Ivan Juric is that at Atalanta. But if the pawns are in place in Serie A, Atalanta have got enough good players to maybe retain their position from last season as well. So maybe that's what he's thinking. Obviously, European football in there is a massive, massive plus for him as well. He might be thinking as well, playing at Serie A, he's going to increase his goal output this season at Fulham. Is he still going to be behind Jimenez potentially? And maybe if Fulham were to get that money and they'd be able to go and sign a Ricardo Pepi for about 25 million quid, thus making profit, everyone's happy when it comes to Rodrigo Muniz, Fulham, and Atalanta. Dolberg from Anderlecht, yeah, I'd like that. He sort of quashed that a little bit earlier on. Morning, Con. When's third kit game being released? Do we know? They did copy indeed. Afternoon, Charlie. Thanks, buddy. Thank you, mate. I can't see Moody's coming to Leeds when their only other fit striker is 35 and can't play when it's cold. Yeah, I think when you look at it, when you look at Mitrovic and they keep saying stuff like, "Oh, we're not going to sell Rodrigo," and I think that the Leeds wouldn't be there, right? Leeds wouldn't be there. Leeds wouldn't be negotiating. Would there have ever been a stage where Ben White would have come to Leeds from Brighton? Of course, because Leeds were in negotiation. When they're coming out and their journalists are coming out and they're doing all this bravado and they're saying stuff like, "He's not going. He will not go." It's rubbish. Every player has their price. Every player has their price. Okay, structured in the right way. The player's not happy. There's so much when it comes to player power nowadays as well. We're seeing that with Mateo Joseph now. But there is so much when it comes to player power that you got to be careful. You got to be careful. But them coming out and going, "Oh, he's not for sale." Well, he is for sale because Leeds wouldn't have bid initially. If Fulham had come out and said, "Look, there's no point, guys," Leeds wouldn't have tested the waters. It wouldn't have happened. You know, at the beginning of the window, Alexander Isak is not for sale. Well, he is for sale, isn't he? Everybody's for sale. Every player has their price. I think that's where I'm at with it. But it's whether or not he wants to come again. Whether or not he wants to come again. Con, a wild take. Would you think about getting Somerville? Nah. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't, mate. No, not for me. Don't get why Fulham are considering selling Muniz. Who do they bring in who's better considering Spurs? Newcastle have looked at him, but he's not good enough for a mid to lower side. I'll show you who they're going to get in. I'll show you his numbers. This is exactly who they're going to go for if they let him go. This is who I think we should probably be targeting, to be honest with you. Ricardo Pepi, playing the Champions League, PSV, looks very, very good. Yeah, that's who they're going to bring in. So it's going to be like for like replacement, really, when you look at Pepe's statistics and when you look at his play as well. Mobile, tall, athletic. Yeah, gets goals. So, yeah, you look at his goals per 90 there as well. It looks nice as well, doesn't it? So, I don't know. Maybe Leeds can go in there and challenge a little bit. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. He's not awful, is he? You don't score goals like that, and you haven't got the rumours around you like you have. And several clubs in for him, not just Fulham, by the way. If you're an awful player, I feel the same as you, Connor. I can't see he's getting money. He's gutting, as we've shown interest since the start of the window. Supposedly bid 24 million. Feels like it might be a sleepy end to the window. Hopefully not, buddy. Hopefully not. Let's have a look at the poll anyway that we had in the chat, everybody. Let's have a look. Are people panicking? There's 58% who were saying no, 42% who were saying yes. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Let's have a look in the chat again, see what's going on. Would you rather get Mitrovic or Fulham get him and we get Muniz? Oh, Chris. Us get Muniz. I don't see Fulham in any sort of relegation battle, to be honest. So yeah, I'd go for Muniz. I think there's so much upward trajectory when it comes to it as well. Sell on potentially in the future. I think when you're looking at a player who is as mobile and as transitionally good as him, I think he'd do really well for Leeds United. 6'1", electric, dynamic in a press. He would be he's a completely different profile to Nemecha, completely different profile to Peru. Yeah, for me, decent. Okay, and the last rumor, NFFC, you're going to like this one. According to Sports Witness, before I was coming on air, via the Record in Portugal, Leeds United made an official approach for Jota Silva, the right winger. And as of 40 minutes ago, Jota Silva doesn't want to come to Leeds United. He wants to go to Sporting and is trying to push through a move. And I think that is a load of poppycock. I hope it's a load of poppycock as a right winger and I don't see any upside in Jota Silva whatsoever as a right-sided player. He might thrive out there, who knows? But for Leeds United, absolutely not. So yeah, he's going to Sporting. Exactly, mate. Exactly. Favours a move out there, according to Record, which yeah, Leeds have been apparently sent off. There you go. Gith Yankee says, I'm a Ricardo Pepe expert. There you go, mate. It's the nth of the name. You don't want him yet, but you will. He's not ready for the Prem. Be interesting to see, won't it, if Fulham were to go in for him. Yeah. And a lot of people are saying something similar with Muniz, really. He's not ready yet. He's not ready for that sort of move, that style of move. You do wonder whether or not Pepe would come in, though, and get a similar goal rate to Muniz, 10, 11 goals, which I think Fulham would take going into next season. Right. Let's leave it there, shall we? I apologize. There's been nothing breaking. We will be back tomorrow, everybody, with everything when it comes to the mill. Hopefully some better news. Let's wait and see. Thank you so much. This will be uploaded to Spotify and iTunes as well if you're interested, everybody. My name's Conor McGilligan. This has been an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you on the other side.